Okay, a lot of jungle. Okay. We're approaching the abandoned village of Oso. There's a lot of jungle between here and the village, which is just over there.
We have to find a way to cross the other side.
There's a creek here, eh?
Yeah, there's a creek.
Very. How are we going to get across? Not getting our feet wet. Maybe through here?
I think we'll go the other way.
The other way, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Come this way, dear. JB, 1 minute, JB. Just grab that camera so I can film the.
I think we can just cross over here.
Okay. Very spongy, isn't it?
Salamai.
Okay, we're going to have to get our feet wet. Oh, okay. My feet are well and truly soaking wet, but it was worth it. The original village of Oso would have looked something like one of these two illustrations.
So this is the first village of the Damanivono.
Okay, is this Oso?
This is Oso.
This is Oso, okay.
So this is like the foundation.
Okay.
Where
So
this started.
This is where it started.
So there, this is like one yavu.
Okay, so this tree,
Yeah.
this tree is grown as a yavu.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you can see the formation, how it is
Yeah,
built.
yeah.
We also on this side. You know, due to weather changes.
Yeah, it's changed over the years, huh?
Yeah.
The ground is very mushy.
Imagine it's all wet here. You don't know that time.
Yeah,
We dry at that time
yeah.
because they were living here. Just like on top.
So are there more yabus ahead?
Tay boss na lang na bulan ko. Oh, I know. It's just this area.
In that area there, okay. Wow. Okay. Well, that's it, isn't it, eh? So, in that enclosed area there is the old abandoned village of Oso. Okay.
Ya, Nabai ako yung kormakaw, reside tundo. Direktur ni Lamiga, inambung ibang mata kong do. Ako na yabo, yung tabungi. Kaya ako yung mata ni kurang Tabanivono, kasor kong dindigay. Ang kita ko diya, ilatay nasalagi biyago. Ibataway. Rata ko diya ngi. Now
this man is the Turanga ni Yavusa. He is the head of the Yavusa, which is a group of men and women who claim common descent from one ancestral mythological god and one ancestral village. The Yavusa is called Damanivono and their ancestral god is called Nabai. The ancestral village is of course this one, the village of Oso. Today, however, most of the Yavusa live in a village called Nataletake, which is about 25 minutes away on the main road between the towns of Bar and Tabua. The Turanga ni Yavusa guards the memories and stories of the Yavusa. This chap is the 16th Turanga ni Yavusa, which puts the village of Oso as having begun in the early 17th century.
Natupariba. Merang event saragi huna moli. Nabunito bau, sogale lawai, orang Tabanivono kali. Artu jangan tiba.
Oh, yeah. So all the Tabanivonos, they started from here.
They started from here, yeah. This is the main ancestral village, isn't it?
Main foundation for them. So from here, and then they moved on.
Yeah, they moved on to other
to
sites.
Other places in Fiji.
Well, especially across the river.
Especially across the river to the other side, the
And
second village on the other side.
Yes. And where Nataletake is currently located,
And then,
Lambasa.
Yeah, Lambasa.
Okay. Right, okay.
So it's even the Yavus, some Yavus we cannot see, eh?
Yeah, because of the
Yeah, because it's been like so many years
yeah.
ago, eh?
Yeah, that's
So if it was that time, then we could have seen some Yavus and some other things, eh?
Yeah.
Or we can dig some of the things and see.
So that stream we walked through, would that have been the boundary? I mean, it didn't look like a natural stream. I'm just thinking maybe that was a ditch before, and that's now become a stream.
Oi, it was being made now.
Oh, okay, so it's not
Maybe
something.
Sugarcane farm or like that.
Okay. But maybe it's because there would have been maybe a natural ditch, well, not a natural ditch, but a ditch that was made by those ancient Fijians.
Yeah.
And so now it's become a stream, which is obviously helps the farmers draining the land because it's so marshy here. There's just so much marsh, but the location is amazing in terms of the mountains all round.
So all these sugarcanes, they're all crown land.
Okay.
Native.
And this is native.
Okay, so this is native land.
Yeah.
But over in the distance is crown land.
Yeah.
But it's still Damanivono.
Yeah.
Okay, so still Damanivono.
Yeah.
So we're looking at two types of land here. We're looking at native land, which is Damanivono, and we're looking at crown land, which is Damanivono. But all historically would have been the land that was owned by the Yavusa, the landowning and kinship clan called Damanivono. So they owned all this land around here, and it's staggering. It's some of the most important land in the area. It's some of the most fertile, some of the most productive land in terms of sugarcane. Back in the day, it was used, not this particular area, but there's a real sense of mystery about this place, isn't there? There's a real, JB, what do you think? There's a real presence about this place, isn't there, eh?
Yeah, it is a mystery. Even some of the original Arusa, the people of Damanivono, they haven't been here.
They've never been here, have they?
They've never been here.
Okay.
So with this, it can enlighten them, and
Yeah.
they can know where the originality comes from.
Where they came from originally.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
And the other thing is, yeah, sorry, you're saying.
So this is the place.
This is the
where they
place, isn't it?
came
Yeah.
from.
The other thing is, this is a priestly village,
Yeah.
and there would have been a bure kalou. A bure kalou is a priestly temple, a temple where the priests would have sat in this high-pitched, high-gabled, roofed building where he communicated with the gods. And so, I don't know where. I'll ask the Turanga Niyavusa if he knows where the foundation for the bure kalou was. He remembered seeing it back in 1994, but you know, there's been so much rain since then, and the ground has shifted a lot, and so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to find the foundation for the bure kalou. But it would be here somewhere, because, as I said, this was a priestly village. And when the missionaries came to Fiji in the mid-19th century, one of the first things they did was demolish all the bure kalous. They told them that the old lotu, the old gods that they worshipped, were redundant, were finished, and they gave them a new lotu, Christianity. And so one of the most important things that the missionaries did, one of the first things they did, was demolish the old bure kalous.
1870. How many years?
Oh, it's a long time ago. That's yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So let's just have a little wander. As you can tell, the ground is very, very. My feet are sinking in there. Let's see if we can find a way around. JB, do you know where do we know where the old foundation for the bure kalou was?
Yeah, that's a big mango tree where.
Which tree is this? This one here?
Yeah, this one.
This one, okay, okay. Well, this is where the old bure kalou used to stand. Now it's
This one, okay, this one.
there's more than one bure kalou, wasn't there, right?
Yeah.
Many bure kalous here. Okay, that's what I thought. Just as I thought, there were many of these spirit bures, these spirit temples, the bure kalous. There would be many of them. So, because as I said, this was a priestly village, and so there would have been a yavu there. Sorry, there would have been a foundation for the bure kalou there. And according to the Turanga Niyavusa, the head of the Yavusa, Damanivono, there would have been another bure kalou there. It's just, and I'm pretty sure all this water. Oh my god, it's just so uneven, the ground. Oh, there we go.
So these mango trees, they are the yavus.
Ah, okay, so that's interesting, isn't it?
So this one yavu, the other yavu, these are the yavu.
Okay.
So we can see the formation living on top.
Yeah.
So the bure kalou is on top, and the rest.
The bure kalou would have been those trees over there?
Yeah, on top.
Okay, so that's okay, that makes sense, because traditionally the bure kalou would have been on higher ground, would have been on raised earth. Actually,
right,
earth
yeah.
that was physically raised.
Exactly.
Above all the other houses in the village, or above all the other bures in the village. So those, according to what has been said this morning, those trees marked place where the bure kalous would have stood on higher ground, physically raised earth. And then all around here, where there are these other trees, this is where other yavus, other foundations, bure foundations for homes, would have stood. But the other thing to note is that with the yavus that are here, there are about 19 yavus altogether. Yavus are very sacred to the ancient Fijian way of life. Before the missionaries came, the Fijians were often interred the remains of their deceased, the people who passed away. They were interred in the foundations, the bure foundations, in the yavus, and that's why Fijians have a lot of feeling for yavus, because they are almost like a consecrated ground where it was believed that their children of the people who died, absorbed their mana, the spirit of the deceased. Isn't it? It's just so tranquil around here, isn't it? So peaceful. Okay, so now I'm 100% convinced that this stream that's formed here, look how deep it is here, with the dalo growing out of it. I'm convinced that this stream, which goes right round this village, this priestly village of Oso, I'm convinced that this stream has formed from a ditch, a man-made ditch that would have been made hundreds of years ago as the boundary to this village. Now there is a further story, is that Oso, as I said earlier, Oso was the main village of the Yavusa Damanivono, and that Yavusa Damanivono owned, like I said earlier, owned some of the most fertile land in this whole area. As I've said, the Damanivono historically owned some of the most productive land in Bar, fed by the waters of the Bar River. It is mostly covered in sugarcane today. In 1870, a man by the name of Mr. Berry assumed he had bought 3,000 acres in an area called Bunisamaloa, belonging to the Tabanivono, a few minutes' drive from Oso village. Berry should have negotiated his land purchase with the village of Oso. Instead, he bought it from someone with no claim over their land. In any event, all Berry gave for the land in exchange was one musket and something called a cutter, which was probably some sort of heavy, wide-bladed, hooked knife. The Damanivono got nothing from the transaction except finding themselves being unjustly forced off their land. Later, Mr. Berry sold a portion of that land to his brother-in-law, a chap called Mr. Burns, who started growing cotton on it. In 1873, Mr. Burns, his wife, and their 2 children were killed. It was such a huge story that it was reported in the London Times newspaper. The official record of the event was written by the Fiji Gazette, an organ of the Fiji government formed by Dakambao, the so-called King of Fiji, and his European allies. This government was based in the old Fijian capital of Levuka. The Fiji Gazette and the letters of other European settlers blamed a group of Fijians called the Keidolo for the killing. The Keidolo referred to mountain-dwelling Fijians who were not Christians and clung to the old ways, as opposed to coastal Fijians, many of whom were Christians. There are also many like the Damanivono who were in between. They lived a little inland from the coast and still believed in their old gods. I'm really surprised that in all this and all that has been written over the years, no one has sought to obtain the story of the Damanivono, of the events of the Burns killing. The historical record of the Damanivono was completed in 1914, nearly 108 years ago, in the Fijian language, and officially done with the cooperation of the Native Lands Commission. 2 weeks ago, I had what Fijians called a talanoa, or conversation, with the Turanga ni Yavusa, where he told me his version. Yes, he said it was his ancestors who had killed Mr. Burns. Why? Because their land had been stolen from them. I'm amazed no one who has tried to make sense of the Burns killing over the years has ever consulted the record of the Damanivono. Although the killing could never be justified, not even in hindsight, it does need to be put into context. By all accounts, Mr. Burns was a very arrogant man. This impression comes from other Europeans who knew him. He prevented members of the Damanivono from fishing in the Bar River and extracting clams from the riverbed, a vital source of protein for them, something they'd been doing for generations. He also prevented them having access to the sea. For some reason, he arrogantly assumed he owned the river just because he owned land bordering on it. If that wasn't all, he also had his workers frequently shoot at women of the Damanivono gathering yams on land which didn't belong to him on the opposite bank. Thus, the infamous and unfortunate killing of the Burns family needs to be seen in this context of a series of injustices and provocations directed at the Damanivono. The killing and the crisis in Fijian life caused by the unfair purchase of land by Europeans was one of the reasons Nabai hastily approached Queen Victoria for a second time for Fiji to be made a British colony to protect Fijians and their land. In 1874, Fiji became a British colony, and the rest, as they say, is history. As for this ancestral village, Oso, where little physical evidence remains of a forgotten way of life, having disappeared under the waterlogged land, there are only memories. Yeah, that's their sad history. It's quite moving here, isn't it, JB, eh?
Yeah. Also, it's peaceful, eh?
Very peaceful, yeah. It's very peaceful. It's quite sacred ground as well. Being a chiefly village. Sorry, being a priestly village. It is just it's just so marshy around here. We've had so much rain lately. But the village is circumferenced by a wonderful series of hills over there in the distance. Over there and right round. There are hills all the way round. You can't see the other hills, but they're just beyond those bushes over there. But it's just so peaceful here, isn't it, eh?